My name is Sharon, and I'm a volunteer at the National Museum of the United States Army. When we first heard about it, we were really excited about it. It's something that both my husband and I can do together. I not only served in the Army, also was a military spouse for 30 years, and 2 of our children have served in the Army. So it just is a very passionate thing for me to be able to be involved and not only share our story, but share the soldiers' stories. So very passionate about why I wanted to do that. One of my favorites is the Hello Girl uniform, but probably my very, very favorite is PFC Trent's engraved canteen. 3 different countries that he served in, 12 different cities, all engraved in the soft aluminum of the Army, of his canteen while he served in the Army during World War II. And I just think that shows so much creativity and so much innovation. And I think that the museum speaks to that throughout, how creative and how innovative our soldiers from the very beginning to this very day. So I think that's probably my favorite. Sure. I was an Army nurse I was on active duty for about 6 years. In the reserves, I stayed in for 20 years. Over that period of time, I was in the reserves as we were moving from Army base to Army base. I had a lot of different jobs for the Army. I worked in Army community service, did a lot of teaching and training. That just kind of morphed into more leadership training over the years. And so I think that volunteering at the museum really is a combination. Now that I'm retired, it's a wonderful thing to be able to combine all of that. One, my history of the Army, women in the Army, being an Army nurse, that of the reserves, which is a whole nother element that a lot of people don't really understand or know about. And then just the training and the teaching that I had done over all of the years until I actually retired. So it just kind of ties it all into a nice, a wonderful package of bringing an awful lot of experience of a lot of different parts of Army life to the museum. Family life, or that of life in the Army, whether it is that you're actually serving or whether you're a spouse or a dependent. And I think that it's such a family unit, and we felt as many times as we moved and picked up and made a home a new place, we met wonderful friends and wonderful people and saw wonderful parts of the world. Probably one of the most favorite stories. I go back, I think back now that I've mentioned Walter Reed early on, and I think it's exhibited today with our soldiers that have been wounded and are in a lot of our Army hospitals now as we speak. But of course, we were seeing patients from the Vietnam era. I did not serve in Vietnam. My class was one of the first classes that did not go to Vietnam. But of course, we were seeing a lot of the Vietnam vets that came back. I actually graduated in 1973. But they used to have wheelchair races on the back wards of Walter Reed. So one of the most interesting stories, I think. One other that's just kind of a fun one and an aside to share is I was still on active duty and pregnant with my first son. And at that time, women at that time had only been able to stay in the Army after, I think it was 1972, if they were pregnant. So when in 1977, they still didn't have a maternity nursing uniform. So I had to I said, what do I do? And they said, you just go buy a civilian nursing uniform and your name tag will say your rank and your name. So I was like, okay. So, it just finally got to the point where I could not fit into that nursing uniform anymore. Switched over the weekend, came in civilian uniform on a Monday morning. And the ward, I had a lot of male orthopedic patients on the ward where I was working. I was at Fort Stewart, Georgia at the time. And I had a lot of buzz on the ward, and I couldn't figure out what was happening. Comes to find out, they elect a spokesperson who asked me if I had been busted over the weekend because I had worn rank on Friday and had absolutely no rank on Monday. So one of my favorite stories about how times have changed so much from 1977 to the current day, just based on my own experience. I think just that what a wonderful life it actually is. My husband and I used to laugh and say, well, when we're not having fun anymore, then it's time to move on. And for 30 years, we hung in there and kept having fun. And just some of our friends that we have all over the world are some of the best people that we have ever met. And I think that people just need to know that it's a very fun way to live. Yes, there are sacrifices. Yes, especially nowadays. I know my son has had 5 deployments and it's tough on family life, but there's still so much fulfillment out of serving, out of giving back, and out of the wonderful benefits that you get to be associated with the Army. So I think that it's just that wonderful wow factor, if you will. I think that it is just beyond anyone's expectations when they walk in there to be able to see the amount of artifacts that have been collected. I love the way that it's set out over all of the different galleries. I can hardly wait to be able to do some work in the Experiential Learning Center, where I think the eyes of the kids and the classes that come in, and even adult visitors that come in, will be able to just a hands-on kind of experience. So I think just that wow factor, that it is going to exceed everyone's expectations as they walk through the doors.